Good afternoon. I am Marcelo, and I work to maintain the company's software.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos and I work in hardware support in the company.
Good afternoon. I am Candy and I'm responsible for hardware and software companies' purchase.
Good afternoon. My name is Miguel and I am the company's manager. I would like to hear about the new operating system proposal that you want to implement in this company. What do you think that is the best alternative to Windows XP?
Based on the architecture and current situation of the company, as being considered the best operating system for the company would be the Ubuntu distribution.
Are there any disadvantages to use other operating systems instead of Ubuntu?
Windows is an operating system of closed source, making it impossible to customize to the needs of user or company. In Windows, there is a huge amount of malware threats in comparison to Linux. Finally, Windows limits the supplements options based on the version of each of their distributions, which will eventually discontinue and force the user to buy a new Windows distribution. Carlos, could you mention the disadvantages that are in Windows as hardware?
The main Windows XP disadvantage is that your hardware drivers nowadays are obsolete. This operating system also makes extensive use of hardware resources by installing robust programs. On the other hand, Windows 7 has poor compatibility with all hardware drivers. Windows 8 is not ensured by not using a touch screen. The user experience with the operating system is less.
Thanks for contributing the case.
Rodrigo, what disadvantages are there in the Windows XP network?
One of the most important Windows XP disadvantages is that it's insecure. Currently, there are many vulnerabilities because the operating system doesn't have any support. The virus and spywares can easily infect our network since there are no actualization for this system.
Rodrigo, thank you for explaining to us the disadvantages of Windows XP network.
Candy, can you explain us what economic disadvantage represents using Windows versions, please?
There is an economic disadvantage to using any version of Windows, the cost of the license, and not just the license for operating system. Applications such as Microsoft Office too. In addition, each PC needs a different license.
Thank you for answering, Candy.
I think that the disadvantage of continuing to use Windows XP are many, but I want to know what are the Ubuntu advantages.
The distribution Ubuntu is built on Debian, but more directed to ex-Windows users. It is very graphical and easy to configure by users.
Ubuntu allows to use all the RAM on your computer, regardless of whether the system is 32 sent to the PAE technology. The hardware will be recognized automatically. This means that Ubuntu recognizes the hardware without installing drivers.
Ubuntu has network support like Windows XP. The most important advantage is once the network is configured, there is no need for maintenance of each workstation. Everything is done through a DHCP server. Besides, there is a better network security because the users may not change any option which hit the system because it needs an admin password.
Well, Ubuntu is a free operating system, therefore has no cost, so it will be feasible to implement because this not requires a large investment. In addition, we will save a lot of money.
Marcelo, Why you prefer Ubuntu?
Because it is a free and very popular version, so the arrangements are taken care of, and there are lots of documentation and tutorials online about Ubuntu. This is my recommended distribution if it comes from Windows.
Well, that is a good reason. Carlos, is possible to implement Ubuntu in our computers?
Of course, the minimum hardware requirements are low. This allows us to implement this operating system on our computer without problems.
Nice! And what are those requirements?
Well, the minimum requirement needed for the Ubuntu operating system are 700 processor, at least 512 megabytes of system memory, about 5 gigabytes hard drive, and our computer duplicate this requirement.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Rodrigo, I would like to know what will happen with our company. I mean, our network. Could you fix it?
I think that is the most complicated thing we will confront once it is implemented. But once it's done, the network will be totally functional and there will be no needs for new configurations.
How much time do you need to implement the network in the new operating system?
The estimated time is a few hours. The difficulty is more for the process than for the transition time.
The estimated time is not a problem. I am satisfied. Candy, I want to know if we will need to buy an additional software.
It is not necessary because Ubuntu has free versions of Office called OpenOffice and LibreOffice, similar to Microsoft Office for Windows. And if we don't implement this software, there is still the possibility of using our Microsoft Visualization license with the program Wine.
Excellent. I am totally convinced now. Thanks to the advantage that you told me, I think that we have to use Ubuntu now. Well, thanks you all of attending the meet.